Hi, I'm Dean Sage.
And I'm Jack Kervin.
And this is Show Me Your Deck,
a podcast where we explore the intersections of oracles and chakras,
using our original decks to create new insights. All right, we're on episode 60.
I love the number 60.
It's good and round, yeah.
The Sumerians love the number 60.
They love the number 60.
Which is why we still love the number 60.
It's the basis of a lot of things that we have and we just don't even realize.
Do you know why a circle has 360 degrees in it?
I'm assuming you're going to tell me it has to do with 60.
I'm going to tell you. So 360 is the lowest common multiple of all the integers from 1 to 9. And all of them, 360 is divisible evenly by all of those 1 through 9, except 7. And that's why 7 is a sacred number, because it doesn't play nice with anything else. It only plays nice with multiples of itself.
Yes.
And so the lowest common multiple of all those numbers that you can do on your fingers, 1 through 10, but 1 through 9, 0 through, however you want to look at it, 0 through 9, 1 through 10, whatever you want to think about. It's the lowest common multiple of all those numbers. Except 7.
Except 7.
And that is why 7 is not of this world, and that is why 7 is mystical, and that's why 7 is sacred. Interesting.
And we use 7 ourselves quite a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whether it's 7 sins or 7 sacraments or 7 blessings, or 7's all over the place. And that's just Catholicism. There's 7's all over the place.
Well, numerology, 7 has a special place. 6s and 7s. And they tried to kind of take back 6s.
Mm-hmm.
So that they're not quite as... But it's interesting, in the tarot, 7 is actually a conflict number. There's tension with that number in the tarot.
With the European number system, is there any mathematical logic to the symbolism it has, or is it all strictly legendarium?
I think it's all just coming from ancient times. I don't think there's any added meaning to it. And
I know that 4 is the number for the world because of the 4 cardinal directions. And 3 is significant because of the Trinity, but
4 in tarot is stable, 4 points, resting a tent, kind of the pillars, 4 pillars making a home, squares and rectangles and such.
And what is there particular significance to 9? I mean, 9 isn't perfection. It's before you get to 10. So
9 is usually a sense of completion before total completion. So 10's, so like the 10 of Pentacles is generational wealth and continuity of family, and 9 is like the completion of like the journey, the individual's journey.
Got it. And so then the 10 is coming back around to the beginning ultimately and starting a new cycle. Sort of
a continuation of generational cycles of larger life cycles.
Okay. And that shows up in the symbolism of the tarot?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, the 9 of Cups is called the wish card. It's about achieving your desires and inner dreams. I don't like that interpretation much, because there's a very much we've talked about this before, like the gospel of prosperity kind of thing goes into that meaning. But it is for me, it's the completion of the journey of cups, the journey of waves, which is kind of stilling your inner ocean and realizing that you are the source of that. And then you go into the minor arcana, the king, queen, page, and knight. Or in my deck, it's the seeker, sentinel, source, and sovereign. There we go. I can remember my own creations. Well, you're always doing stuff during this podcast.
I'm a very busy person. I was a dancer for 30 or 40 years. I don't stand still.
All I ask you to do is stay in front of your microphone for this 45-minute podcast. You're like on every side of your microphone.
Well, okay. I'm trying. I can't hold my space on stage.
Huge, too much motion.
The choreographer is going to fire me.
That's actually that's funny because that's the 7. There's a lot of motion for the 7 as we're talking about. So as we're talking about the 7, you're just like moving about.
It's funny. I have a 7-sided die. Have you ever seen one before?
I have not.
Okay, this is cool. When I do my own spreads, I use this die to figure out how many cards are going to be in the spread.
Oh. So
you at home will not be able to see what I'm holding up to the camera, but this is a 7-sided die.
Interesting. It's very asymmetrical.
Yeah, well, it's symmetrical in the best way it can be with a 7. As we just said, 7 isn't, divided into anything nice. So that's why 360 and 7 don't play nice together. But what they've done is so that the die can have a chance to move freely, so that every number has a chance to come up. They've smoothed down the edges here and the tips, and then the numbers are on the edges and the tips, you see. And then whichever edge is pointing up is the number that's resulted. But it's not on the faces of the dice. It's on the edges.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I have others that do that as well, because I have other strange-sided die as well.
This is why when I did Dungeons and Dragons, I had I use Obsidian, as we've talked about that before. It's a program that's sort of a database program, but there's a plugins part of it where people who are much more, accomplished at code than I am can go ahead and code anything. And so this one person coded a dice roller, and you just tell it how many of the dice you want to roll, and it will do the generation in the background and generate a number. So if you say it's 1d10, it will roll a d10 and give you a number. And it's really cool because it's integrated into stat blocks. So if I have a monster stat block and I open the monster in session, it'll roll all the dice for me, and I can basically run the monster from its stat block, which is pretty cool.
My tetrahedron of doom isn't actually a tetrahedron. Most 4-sided die are a pyramid, and then they've got the series of numbers spread around on the faces, and the same number will be up on any side that you look at, right?
Right.
This one, instead, it takes the tetrahedron and then grinds off the points so the points don't catch it from rolling, and then the number is on the ground off tip. So instead of the numbers being on the faces, it's on the tip.
Interesting.
And everything's rounded a little bit so that none of the edges are points. Because when you try to roll a tetrahedron,
it's very hard.
Pyramid, it's very difficult. And they don't roll, they don't spin. They just kind of suck. This one actually rolls because it doesn't have points and it has slightly rounded edges. And that way you can have a single digit on each of the ground off points. It's lovely.
It's lovely. I've never seen a dice set like what you have. It's maybe we should post some pictures at some point on our website.
Yeah, you could do that. But see, then all the sides are blank.
Interesting.
Which is where on a normal die that's where all the numbers would be.
They're intended to be on the bottom when they roll. The sides, the flatnesses of them.
Yeah.
And then the point becomes the number.
Yeah. So like when I roll a 1, it sits like this, and I look down and see the 1 on top, but it's sitting flat on the base, with the 1 pointing upward, right, or so the 3 or whatever.
Each stable base is unnumbered.
Yes.
Because the point above it is the number. But there's no point because you ground it off.
Because they ground it off and smoothed off the edges so it can roll.
Interesting. That's very smart. A lot of other sort of dies have done cylinders. So you just sort of roll a cylinder, and then whatever face stops up is your number. So I've seen odd numbered dice do it that way, but like I said, I'm very technological. I'm like, I don't want to roll dice. I just click.
I
just click a button.
I like the tangible quality of rolling the die. It's like I'm rolling it. I'm getting ready to roll it right now. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's see what the tetrahedron of rounded off edges doom will give us today. And it rolled to the number 2.
Ooh.
So that is professions. And we're going to use card number. Where are you going? Where you going, Bubba?
This one always, I swear,
Where you going, Bubba?
I need to get you the dice tray because this die always goes everywhere.
Well, it has 50 sides, and
It's basically a circle.
It's almost like a ball.
Yeah.
We have the number 24.
Okay.
So that is I love, as it is touching icy. So this is green touching blue, wood touching water. I profess that I love learning, especially from the wisdom of others. I profess that I love learning, especially from the wisdom of others.
So we had this 2 shows ago, but we had it in deck number 3.
Oh, so it was the really abstract intersection deck.
Yeah. Yeah, we had it in deck number 3, not in deck number 2.
That'd be interesting to go back and listen to that and see what conclusion we came to with that.
Well, it was
Since we're left to our own devices.
It was our middle card, so it was kind of in the middle of our reading. We had deck number 2, card number 17. We'd had the director, card number 7 in my major arcana, and then we came up to this one.
Well, now it's the contextualizer. So everything going forward is trying to remember the ways in which it's good to hear what other people think. So when we're talking about loving learning, especially from the wisdom of others, it means the reminder here is that you can know a lot, but you can't know everything. And so it's always good to get feedback from other people and share your ideas and see how they can be polished or improved or completely reinvented. That's the whole point of beta readers, or really any kind of feedback, really, is to see how your ideas can be exploded and put back together.
There's no profession or anything with this one. This is abstract again?
No, I profess that I love learning, especially from the wisdom of others.
Okay. I missed that when you said that the first time.
Oh, no. Shall I say it again?
Yeah, one more time for me.
I profess that I love learning, especially from the wisdom of others.
Okay. All right. I'm with us now.
So going forward throughout the rest of the reading, just know that you can have your opinions and you can have your thoughts and you can have everything you want to have, but just because you think something doesn't mean it's real. Make sure you're staying in communication with other people.
Okay. So I love learning. I like that, especially the wisdom of others. Okay. So we've got an internal, external facing card, right? So we've got 2 aspects of this. We've got something about ourselves, right? We love learning. We love imbibing knowledge, taking things in, rolling them around, because learning is a very active thing. It's not just sort of taking facts in, right? Like it's not just reading a series of facts and just sort of memorizing them. Like true learning is about integrating something external into yourself,
and figuring out what to do with the facts,
creating in yourself an internal structure for it. At least, I mean, I'm a very 3-dimensional thinker, so maybe other people learn differently than I do. But like, I literally have to put it into the matrix. Like, it's got to go into the honeycomb of other information, and that's all has to interact with itself. And if it's something new, it destroys part of the honeycomb, and I have to reconstruct the honeycomb around this new information and make the other pieces make sense. This happened to me at work. I had an understanding that when we created a new class, it created a new report. I thought that that was a 1-to-1 relationship. And then my coworker says, "Oh no, we can do a new class and it doesn't create a new report." And that shattered my understanding. So I had to reconstruct. I'm like, oh, okay. So that 1-to-1 relationship is not true. I had to. So but for me, that's a very 3-dimensional puzzle that I work with when I take in new information. So here we are taking in new information, but especially, right? So we're going to look out for in the rest of the reading others. So especially from others. So not just self-guided, new understanding, but what can we take in and actively reorientate within ourselves from others.
Yeah, and there's a separate card for that type of internal rumination, but that's not the one we rolled. I don't know how graduate school works for anyone except for what I did. And I did an MFA, which is, for all intents and purposes, like a PhD. It resulted in a dance concert in place of a longer paper. I still had to do a lot of writing, but the culmination was the concert and then the defense of the concert. So what I can say is that more than my undergrad, which also undid and rebuilt a lot of my ideas, graduate school absolutely shattered everything I thought I knew about anything. And in the course of those 3 years, I had to go from pulverized me to this rebuilt version of me who actually might know something. And it was absolutely agonizing to watch these people tear apart everything I thought I knew about what dance and choreography and performance was. But at the end, what I reassembled was marvelous. And it couldn't have happened without my committee constantly destroying everything. Oh, they made me so mad. They made me so mad so many times. But in constantly having to defend every nuance of every choice, it's something that everybody should experience at least once. What's the word? You need to consent to having your entire world being dissolved, so you can pick up all the dissolved, shattered, whatever you want to think of it as, so you can form it into something even better.
A lot of people go through life depending on, and this is why college makes people more liberal, quote unquote, right? Like we've heard this, we've seen some statistical evidence to this fact. College makes people more liberal. I think that's a misnomer for what's actually happening, which is learning, like you said, breaks understanding. So there's colloquial understandings, there's religious understandings, there's these things that we sort of tell ourselves. And then when we go face facts, when we go face new information, when we face things that challenge our worldview, then we become more malleable, and more malleable people tend to be more liberal. That's just sort of we know this. We know that people that are conservative, their brains are just more rigid, and they have, but it has a biological basis, is that when your connections are more rigid, you think faster and easier. There's less cognitive dissonance, there's less cognitive load. But when you face a challenge to your worldview, you have to stop, back up, reorientate, and you have to think hard. And it's hard. You have to think hard because you have to reconstruct all of those pieces and deal with things that you didn't know were true, that you've now been shown are true and you accept as being true, and things that you had believed before that you now have to accept are false, that you now believe are false. And what does that combination look like? I have a card in my deck called the Tower that it really expresses this. It's, you've built this tower, and then through a lightning strike, through a sudden altering change, it all tumbles down. It all comes crashing down. And then you're just left with rebuilding from rubble.
So the advantage to having a conservative mindset is that you can think quickly. The disadvantage is that you aren't necessarily as nimble in the face of the unknown. The advantage for being liberal-minded is that you are more malleable getting through every situation. However, the disadvantage is that you agonize more about every single thing getting there.
Yeah, moral reasoning, right? It's very easy when you have simple structures. What's right, what's wrong, you can process that very quickly. If you take in more information and your worldview begins to adapt and become more malleable and more, broad, then making the moral decision isn't as easy. Yeah. You've got more things that you're considering than if you had a more simplistic worldview.
Well, when you're in a situation where people are in so in graduate school, for example, or even college, college is maybe a more common experience for the readers or listeners. Even in college, you were forced to hear the ideas of other people, and you were forced to contend with them, whether you agreed with them or not. Now, whether you agree with it or not, you still have to make a space for it even if only temporarily, to get your grade, but you still have to figure out a way to make space for other people and their ideas. Mm-hmm. In graduate school, you can't get by with that. You have to really pick stuff up and play with it. You can't just, make pretend that you thought something was neat for a quarter. I mean, you really have to allow yourself to be shattered in a way that's different and deeper than in college. And yet college is absolutely important because it starts the process. Anybody who can go to graduate school should, so they can complete that process of fracturing.
I think your experience was more unique. There are graduate programs that really just reinforce things. Like my experience, I was at a Christian university. Oh. So I took some graduate classes in my undergraduate program just because I was advanced. And a lot of those graduate classes were just sort of reinforcing already done things. They were talking about the right things. Like it was interesting. They had the right information to come to a different conclusion, but they just sort of didn't. Like the well-oiled ideas slipped through anyway.
That's very strange. Okay, so what it sounds like you just told me, correct me if I'm wrong. In college, you learn that red is red. In graduate school, you learn why red is red. Is that effectively what you just told me?
Except it was more, you learn that red is blue, and in graduate school, the old reasons for it were reinforced, even though you had an opportunity to see that red was actually red.
Okay. Well, then I amend my previous statement. Find a way to get shattered. It may not necessarily be graduate school, but get shattered. At least once in your life, get completely shattered.
Well, it's just, there are ways of reinforcing. This is what we do culturally. Like there's ways of reinforcing a particular worldview, and then there's ways of dealing with kind of defending your worldview. And so I think what you're saying is find an opportunity where you have to defend your worldview in light of other worldviews and other information. And for me, it was because I did a minor in philosophy. I read philosophers and I read Why I'm Not a Christian and things like that. And it was like, oh, okay.
Well, even not even defend your worldview, find out your worldview is wrong and make a new one and defend that.
Mm-hmm. Let's pull a card and see where this is going to take us, because we have an interesting start to all of this. All right, let's see. We have got the 5 of seeds. The 5 of seeds. The door to your storehouse is not truly locked.
Good, because you need new ideas.
This card, in the tarot, it tends to be Pentacles. It's the 5 of Pentacles. It tends to be more about money and wealth, possession. It has a very material sense to it. It's the root chakra, so there's a lot of materialness to it. And the idea here is that there's times in your life where you feel like you are lacking, where you might be poor or destitute. And again, this is a little bit of that gospel of prosperity seeps into this. Mm-hmm. And so the way that I kind of chose to try to take in the traditional meaning, but give it my own flair, is that you do have what you need, but it feels like it's locked away from you. And so the idea here is that it's not truly locked. It feels locked. Maybe it looks locked, but it's not truly locked. One of my favorite interpretations of this card is in the Light Seer Tarot. It's, a picture of 2 people that look like they're starving, looks like they're destitute, and they're sort of huddled outside of a door, of an ornate door, and right beside the door is the key. Mm. But they're not focused on it. They can't see it.
So it's almost like looking at the contextualizer. It's if you're in a situation where you are in some kind of poverty mindset or shortage heart space, how do you learn from those who have experienced it and come through the other side? You know, so you're not sitting there trying to figure it out on your own. If we're talking about ultimately the process of learning from the wisdom of others, then, and this is easy to say when I'm not sitting here in the middle of a crisis, but if you do find yourself in a position of shortage or deprivation or something, who do you know? What have they survived? What they can tell you about their process? And is there a way to learn from what they did and improve your situation so that you don't get mired in pessimism or nihilism?
I have what I wrote about this is I said, nobody likes to lose. It sucks to be wrong, even worse when there is something at stake. Not having enough money to pay for food or rent, or knowing that if it were just a few days later, you'd have what you needed today. It's easy to be depressed about what isn't or can't be. It's harder to admit defeat and look for help to get back on your feet. You are not locked out of happiness and success. You're just in a season, a cycle where the harvest didn't come in. Look at your roots in your community and you will see help from others waiting for you. Stand still in the dirt and accept what was wrong. See what can be better. Sometimes you are here because of your own actions, sometimes because of circumstances beyond your control. Either way, there is still just you and the dirt. Instead of looking at barren fields as the enemy to your present, see them as the ally for your future. Something cannot grow when the field is already in use. An empty field, an empty storehouse is filled with possibility. Nothing is truly empty.
That's a very eloquent way of agreeing with me.
Yes, well, that's what I thought.
I love that. That was marvelous. That's in your book.
That's in my book, yeah.
Okay, good. I love that. Remember, you can get his book. That was lovely. I love metaphors. They make truth more digestible. Mm-hmm. It's very simple to just say with words, it's all okay. Tomorrow will be better. It's like, is it though? I don't know. But when you talk about crops that might come in, well, that's aspirational. That feels better to me personally.
Well, I think so. Going into our context, right? Like maybe at this point you have had your worldview rocked. Mm-hmm. Like maybe, and this is happening to a lot of people right now. This is happening to a lot of conservative people right now. What they thought, right? What they believed, what they held true in their hearts is being contradicted by the people that they invested their trust in. Mm-hmm. And by the people that they propped up and lauded, and I don't want to say worshiped because I some did.
Lionized, idolized.
Yes.
Heroized.
Their worldviews are now being rocked because new truths are coming in. Things that they relied upon, they thought, they're not talking about me. They're talking about something else, and that something else is bad. And I agree, that something else is bad. And it turns out that something else is not something else, it's them. Mm-hmm. And the true colors are showing. I had a part of the family come over for pre-Christmas get together, and we got a little drunk and got to talking politics. And what I kept telling them is, like, you and I are so close together. It's funny. It's ironic. It's sad how close together we are, except for these few things that they keep making a big deal out of that aren't big deals. They're just not. Like, we both want people to live and survive and be able to earn a living wage and have a good life. Like, we both want that. And I think that's, a lot of people's worldviews are being rocked because they believed that these actions that the, elite, right, are telling them are correct and need to happen in order to make that life happen, that has a direct impact on them. I just read an article about the Obamacare premiums are just, and even the fact that we call it the Obamacare, the ACA, the premiums have skyrocketed, and people are going to forego insurance, which will then collapse the insurance market, because if not enough people are buying into it, then it can't sustain itself. And
I thought that they decided to go ahead and fund it the way they were supposed to, because they had stopped and then they decided, no, we're going to actually fund it. I thought they passed a bill to fund it.
As of yesterday, they passed a resolution to vote on it.
Oh, okay. Well, here's hoping.
Yeah, that could have changed. This was early yesterday, so it might have changed later in the day. I'm not sure.
No, I purposely don't watch, so you're probably more correct than me.
But the point is that a lot of people are being faced with new facts, new information that is challenging how they feel. So maybe that's kind of where we're at right now, is you might feel a little bit lost, you might feel a little bit broken, or a lot of it. And what you need is here, like I was talking about, is in the community. Like, there are people here that have been saying the truth for a while. There's resources there. There's people there that will support you. There's people there that will embrace you. There is wealth of information, wealth of support, wealth of community out there. And I think this is the interesting, to me, this is the most interesting moral thing. In small groups, we are so good. We are so good in small groups. And then we get to this breaking point, this certain size, and and then we become so bad. Like,
is that tipping point? What is it, like around 150? Like a village can get to be around 150 people before it breaks down?
I don't know. I really don't know. But
what's that number? That man that came up with that number about how many relationships you can hold before you don't actually know people anymore? I know it's 150, but I don't remember what his name is.
I don't think I've heard of this.
Yeah, he was a behavioralist, and he found that a single human can have up to 150 solid, true, significant relationships. And everything beyond that is superficial. And so when you see somebody who's got 1,000 friends, they do not have 1,000 friends. 150 of those people might be close, but everything else is superfluous, and it's just connection to be connected. So I'm just wondering, like when we were living in bands, we were living in troops, we were living in villages, what is that tipping point where people start to get othered? Is it when you can no longer hold them as closely as a relative or a close friend, and suddenly you don't know them as much, so it's easier to not empathize with them? I'd be interested to know what size community starts to see othering.
I don't know, but I think where we're at, right? So we what were the two chakras? You were heart and
third eye.
We have root here, so there's a grounding aspect to what's happening. So the second card is asking us to ground, to feel our roots, right, in the community, in the dirt, in where we are, right? You have to just take a second, and you can't build a world without a base.
No.
So you've got to find that firm ground to build on, and it's there, it's out there, it's ready for you. There's some basic truths. If I have to say my own, I know I believe that people are at their core good.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe at their core people are good. I think that there's things that get in the way of it, and that's why I feel like I can talk to my relatives who are conservative, because I think at their core they don't want evil. And I think that's kind of one of the basis of my moral philosophy. And I don't think most people want evil. I think most people want good.
I think a lot of people don't necessarily know what's good, and they think they do.
I think that's the problem, is that their desire for good is shaped by their environment, and the environment is where evil comes from.
Mm-hmm. Because for the most part, I don't feel like I can talk to my conservative relatives, because I have seen them do evil, and I don't feel safe or grounded being around them. So that's definitely part that is fundamental to having a conversation where you can learn something from anybody, is even feeling safe enough to have the conversation.
And I will say this particular couple, there's others in the family that I won't waste time on at all.
Yeah. I have an uncle who claims to be a Buddhist, and yet I walked by his room one night and heard him chanting hexes. And it's like, you're a Buddhist chanting hexes. Okay. I'm going to go to McDonald's because nothing makes sense right now. So I'm going to have a McFlurry if the machine works.
But McDonald's French fries is a great basis for a worldview.
Oh, McDonald's French fries. Oh, I love McDonald's French fries. I haven't had McDonald's French fries in years.
Only fresh.
Oh yeah.
Like you wait even 30 minutes and the magic is gone. The magic is gone. The magic is you do the drive-through, and then you just it's those next 10, 15 minutes that's where the magic lives. So
can you smell them coming out of the window? If not, come back in 10 more minutes. That is the wisdom that I am giving to you. You can learn this from me, dear listeners. This is how you know whether or not to eat the McDonald's French fries.
Oh, the shake machine. The shake machine was always broken when I was a kid.
I never had this problem. I hear this social meme that the McFlurry machine never works. It's like, I never, ever have I ever had a problem getting a milkshake or an ice cream cone at McDonald's.
I think it's work ethic, because the machine would always be broken like an hour.
They didn't want to clean it or turn it on.
Yeah,
okay, that's different. That's why you need a workable or a livable minimum wage.
Yeah. So maybe just where you were, it was different that way.
We had higher class McDonald's, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, they are franchises, so.
That's true.
Well, I think there's actually more corporate owned stores now than there are franchisees. So I think that's changing. Like I think they're buying.
Well, that also doesn't surprise me. Shall I roll?
Yes, let's roll.
All right. Deck number 3. This will be the abstract intersections deck. We're going to go with. Well, look at that, 23.
Oh my goodness.
We're sitting still, baby. We're sitting right here. We're sitting right here, staying connected to other people. Okay, so this is I love green wood as it is touched or intersected by, I say, aqua, air. So if you come over to YouTube, you can see the video of the pretty pictures. It's a pretty green on top of a pretty aqua. This is the deck that I call my what do I call this?
Bouquet.
My bouquet, yeah. So we're staying with green, but we're moving down a notch from third eye to throat. So from I see down to I say. So you're still sitting here with your community. You're exchanging information. You're learning. You're feeling safe. You're feeling grounded. Now you have to have an actual conversation. This is where the exchange of these ideas happens. You've been drinking in the water of their wisdom. Now ask questions. What do you have to say? Let's debate. Let's discuss. And hopefully you're doing it from a position of grounded safety, generosity of spirit and community. So what I feel this is reminding us is that not everyone's going to agree, and that's okay. We had that card come up recently. Let people disagree. But this is not about disagreeing per se. This is about understanding, and that still requires conversation. So this isn't trying to convince anybody of anything. It's not me trying to bring you to my side or you to my, or me to your side. This is the way in which these ideas go back and forth and help each other form into something new, into something helpful.
Well, this is speak with love.
Yeah. So you're here's another issue. You have to have the discussion in good faith. Part of what is really frustrating is when I hear people make points that they know are not points.
Well, that happened. No, that happened. They brought up AOC as though that were some trump card, and I don't mean that euphemistically. I mean, like the literal, trump card in a game of cards.
Like all you have to say is AOC, and because you mentioned something, she agrees with it, and you're wrong.
And like as though it was a trump card, and I just ignored it. I was like, I don't know her. I don't really care. I don't know her. She said some interesting things I like. She's not my representative. I don't know what she does or doesn't do for her constituents. I don't know her. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant to the conversation that I'm having with you.
Well, also, I've noticed more on the right than the left that there's a cult of personality. And when I'm trying to have these discussions, some people say AOC or Pete Buttigieg is like that. Or Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton's in the Epstein files. Like, I don't care if he is. Put him in jail.
Yeah, exactly.
So we don't tend. I mean, we do have hero worship on the left. I'm not saying that we don't, but I don't know that we personality attach in the same way,
or that one person doesn't speak for all of us.
No.
Like
too many of us have had our world shattered to know that any one person can be right all the time.
One person can stand up and say something incredibly stupid, and we're very happy on the left too.
And we're very happy on the left to eat our own.
Yes,
believe me.
We should eat less of our own. We should educate and re-prop up the people that are wrong. But yeah, no, one person like okay. So one person says something stupid that doesn't completely. Like, and this is the problem with conservatism, and the problem with that mindset of easy non-cognitive dissonance, like not having cognitive dissonance, not having conflicting things, is that one person does speak for all of you, right? And oftentimes it's a pastor or a podcaster, or that there is this sort of monument that encompasses everything that you believe and hold true. And so do you look for those on the other side? And when you find one, you're like, aha, I can react against this. It reinforces my ideas. All is well.
While ignoring that that's completely plausible for someone to do toward you as well. And then just ignoring that. It becomes a situation where you can't have a discussion because you can't agree on what a fact is. And that's why when you're going to have these discussions, they have to come from a place of genuine curiosity and good intent.
Love.
Yeah, and love. So, I mean, here's a recent example. Marjorie Taylor Greene is trying to backpedal on a lot of stuff. And I'm certainly not saying that she should be given a free ride to just backpedal like she never did or said anything wrong. But she realized some stuff finally. And on the stuff that she is willing to reconsider, we should let her reconsider and not punish her constantly in the midst of her trying to understand something.
Yeah, I can't stand, great majority of things that she's said. She was absolutely right on sexual assault. She was 100%. I'm like, yeah, cool. And this is again with my with my relatives. I'm like, we can agree on some things. We don't. We are not so diametrically opposed that everything is opposite. Again, that's a very narrow black and white way of looking at the world. Is if you're not with me, you're against me. It's like, no, we agree on this. I'm not going to agree with you on other stuff, right? You've got some crazy stuff out there that's no, we're not. But you and I can agree that. Sexual assault of especially minors is a very wrong thing, and people should be held accountable for that. We can agree on that without agreeing on everything else.
Yeah, and that's part of the issue here is that when you're discussing one topic, try to keep to that one topic. When you get into whataboutism and start diluting the conversation and pulling words and ideas into all these directions where you weren't actually supposed to be focused, it makes it so that nothing actually gets discovered. You just end up regurgitating what you already think. So if the topic is A and we're talking about A, and you say, well, what about B? Well, we're not talking about B, we're talking about A. But I see a lot of whataboutism happening in conversations, and that's just not helpful. You need to stay focused long enough to come to a conclusion about one concept and really understand it deeply. And then move on to something else, maybe, but have one conversation at a time.
Yeah, I mean, I think to me, that's the love part, is there has to be a genuine, honest understanding and connection between you and the other, to where you assume good intentions. To have this conversation, assume good intentions, assume that they're intending well, and that they're not trying to set you up or, try to trap you in something. Like, their intention is good and they want a genuine conversation with you. So obviously, we talked about this is not every conversation out there, right? Like, this is not every person out there.
Conversation, but where you can have the good ones, have them.
But there's people right now that have some counter ideas and have some different worldviews, and they're willing to have those conversations with you. They're willing to talk to you and share their experience and their knowledge and their wisdom, and you just need to be in a position to hear that and take that in.
There's a man, a preacher from Texas. He's in the House of Representatives. I think his name is Jim Taliaferro, I think. And he is a minister. And if you are liberal, I encourage you to listen to him because it's very instructive to hear how he speaks about his ideas. If you're conservative, I would encourage you to look him up and listen to him because he explains his ideas in a very compassionate, level-minded way. And although he is a Christian minister, he sounds a lot like Buddha. He sounds a lot like Nelson Mandela. He sounds like Gandhi. He sounds like these figures of historic pillars of love. And he speaks about his faith and about his experience as an educator in public schools. He uses all that in a very clear and focused manner with a kind tone and very patient manner. And he's really effective. And he's a really good example of what it looks like to be genuinely open-hearted and willing to have dialogue. And he will let people disagree with him. He will stand there and let them disagree and disagree and disagree. And when he finally makes his point, I mean, I don't mean it to be like he's devastating them, but it kind of undoes everything that they said. He has this manner of debating that doesn't sound like arguing. And he's really quite inspiring in that way. At the same time, Gavin Newsom is my hero right now. Daddy President could definitely get it because he gets out there and he says what he wants to say and he doesn't back down, not even when he's being pushed around or bullied, but he doesn't attack per se. He simply swats. It's like if you come for him, he will swat you down. Gavin Newsom will meme you. And if he memes you, you probably deserved it. But these are two ways in which you can look at speaking and having a conversation and be honest about what you think and not being pushed around and not being bullied while being honest and being part of a dialogue and still, getting your points across. And there's Jasmine Crockett, I think she's also from Texas. She's a firebrand. AOC is a firebrand. I love them. I don't know if they're necessarily as effective because they're seen as being so aggressive. I like it that they're aggressive. But if we're talking about having calm conversations with opposing opinions needing to be hashed out, I don't know if they're as good examples of speaking to people, even though I like what they do. Because of the confrontation. But sometimes you need confrontation. Sometimes
you do. Sometimes you need to address things assertively, let's say.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to challenge something in order to get it to shift, but it has to be the right time. And this is where the love part comes in. You have to have a deep understanding, in your heart and your soul that now is the time to push on this versus now is not the time. And that's very important to not push just to push. And I think that sometimes, political theater, people push just to push all the time. And that makes sound bites, that gets them on the news. That's excellent for whatever they need it to be excellent for. But, the actual governing really has to be, agreement. And, agreement's not always, done with shouting. it's oftentimes done quietly and it's slow progress, right? It's very slow progress. It's not instant fixes like we would like.
I mispronounced the man's name earlier. It's James Tallarico.
Okay.
Not Taliaferro, it's Tallarico. James Del Tallarico is an American politician, Presbyterian seminarian, and former public school teacher serving the Texas House of Representatives. So that's who I meant.
Gotcha.
He live streams his Sunday sermons, and they can be really quite uplifting. Even though I personally don't identify as Christian, I can still hear his message and understand that he's delivering what he says with love.
That's the important part. All right. Time to pull another card. We have the Two of Waves. Two of Waves. This is the Two of Cups in the tarot. Merge your emotions, make bigger waves.
When you say merge your emotions, is this also part of a conversation between you and another person facing each other and joining waves together? Is this still part of an ongoing conversation, or is this the opposition within yourself?
This is below conversation. So this is the second chakra.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just pure energy and emotion. So you can view this as a sexual encounter. You can view this as a deep connection between friends. You can view this as an artistic creation. But merge at that sub-rational level.
Really understanding the person you're conversing with, whether it's, verbally, sexually, emotionally, whatever, really being present and being part of the moment with them.
The idea is that your waters are flowing, their waters are flowing. And a lot of times, underneath these conversations, there's deep emotions, right? There's a lot of emotions going into these conversations. And so this is saying, don't let those waters be in conflict with each other,
mm-hmm.
right? Don't let them minimize each other. I'm the people that claim conservatism, the people that claim liberalism are so close. This is why like the Working Families Party is so interesting to me. Maybe they're not perfect, but they recognize both sides want living wages, right? Like both sides want people to not die, like it's been so funny seeing conservative people be like, instead of paying for illegals, let's pay for our own insurance. Yes, you are correct. Let's do that. Let's absolutely do that. Let's start today. So like the idea is that I think that the emotions are much closer aligned than we pretend that they are. And instead of crashing against each other, this is saying find those common motions, those common things, the deep waters of your being. Find the common peaks and valleys and merge those together, and you'll make a bigger wave out of it. And then that wave can spread to the next and to the next and to the next, and we can change things.
And within the context of learning from the wisdom of others, when you're bonded and melded and talking and connecting at this deep level, sometimes somebody's wave simply isn't going to match yours right now, and you should recognize that. So if they've got this big tidal wave coming at you, don't feel compelled to just sit there and be swamped by them. Part of the whole connection here is that you're looking for some kind of, not necessarily perfect symmetricality, but you're looking for something that can something that can blend, something that can meld. So maybe you've got one and they've got three, and together you make four, and that's fine if you're both content with that. But if they're like at a 7 and you're at a 1, maybe now's not the time to have this connection with them. This might be a wise person, but they might not be in a state of mind or spiritual balance to have the conversation. Still remember that they've got the wisdom. Maybe come back around to them another time. But if your waves are aligned, oh yeah, definitely settle in and enjoy the ride.
Mm-hmm. And the like I said, the connection is sub-rational. So you don't have to agree on everything. Like it doesn't have to be Like my manifesto doesn't have to be your manifesto in order for us to merge our waves.
No, definitely not. I mean, look at the way jigsaw puzzles fit together. You know, you just make space for people, and you fill the space they have open and they fill yours.
I think we're ready for our final card.
Okay. If you hear kitten magic, yes, hello, kitten magic. We're going back to deck number 2. We're going to have a profession, a literal profession. And I have a kitten pushing on my legs. Don't knock me over. $33. Well, what is this? Yeah, 33. So 33. We're staying with I say. So aqua, throat chakra, aqua, air, and it intersects with metal. So back down here to the viscera, orange. So this is aqua over orange, air over metal, I say over I feel. I profess that I say what I feel, knowing that sharing it will help me to mature. I profess that I say what I feel, knowing that sharing it will help me to mature.
Mm-hmm. I mean, perfect capstone. I almost feel like the deck speaks for itself in this case. What more can we add?
Yeah, I mean, if you're sharing and safe and connected and thriving, then yeah, definitely this is the time to share. I'm not saying that you should always share and be vulnerable if there's the chance that somebody's going to attack you or make you feel less than or hurt you because of what you've shared. But if you're in a situation where you can learn from somebody else and you feel safe around them and you're right there with them on the same page and you feel stable, yeah, say what you need to say. Because whatever they say back, whether it's agreeing or disagreeing or affirming or not, you're going to grow from it.
So this is the throat and the second chakra. Is that correct?
Yes.
So this is the oracle in my deck, and it's about the embodiment of intuition, the embodiment of connection and an emotional support. And there's a way that you can share, be affected, and grow. And that's what this is, I think, we're talking about. You make statements, right? You like I said, I believe people are good at their core. When they're alone in a group, I feel like they're gonna reach out and try to save the person in front of them. I just do. I think that's the normal instinctive response, right? But there's going to be other people that don't agree with me on that have something else to say. And by saying my belief, by exposing my worldview, I open myself up to feedback and possibly additional ideas to change that. And to be affected and to grow and to update and be different and to have my intuition, right? My deep beliefs, my deep ideas, to have those changed in a positive way, to let them grow. And just like this is water for me, the second chakra is water for me. It's constantly in motion.
It's interesting. We went from your water to my metal, but it seems in the same chakra.
Mm-hmm.
I will agree that I believe all people start where you're talking about. And I think the people who stray from it have the capacity to come back to it.
Mm-hmm.
If you give them the chance, especially if they're in the process of recognizing that they've done something wrong and want to make amends and change for it.
Well, this is guilt, right? Guilt is here for a very good reason. Guilt tells you that you were wrong,
mm-hmm.
and gives you the opportunity to be different.
In that way, guilt is not bad. Guilt can be weaponized. This is one of the reasons why I use metal for this chakra, because you could take guilt and you could weaponize it. You could turn it into a knife and stab somebody in the guts with it. but it doesn't have to work that way. That's not necessarily what it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I think to tie this up, you are part of a community. We don't always agree. We are together, though, in this boat, and we've got to get where we're going, and we have to do that together. And so, little by little, we have to have conversations, and we have to update ourselves. And you and I are liberal, right? It's just a matter of fact. I don't think that's anybody listening to the podcast is not going to be like, oh my god,
they're liberals.
They're liberals.
I want my money back.
Yeah. Conservative people have stories. They have experiences that need to be heard and need to be understood as to what drives them. The people that are like, illegal's this. Maybe they're having a hard time finding work.
Mm-hmm.
And so someone's telling them, oh, that's because of X. So yeah, maybe they're believing the wrong person, but they're experiencing pain, and that pain needs to be heard and needs to be acknowledged. And we can't just gloss over the fact that they're wrong because they've got a pain. They've got a pain point, and we need to address the pain point. And that's as a group of people, we need to hear each other's pain. We need to hear each other's anxieties. We need to hear each other's fears, and we need to work together to merge good ideas with solutions to the pain and the fear and the anxiety
that are human focused solutions.
Yes.
And I think part of what would help is if people stopped looking left and right so much and looked up, because really the only differences that matter are class based, because your neighbor does not have the resources to hurt you. Whether they're on the left or the right, that doesn't matter. Look up and see who's looking down at you.
That's again, like I don't think that working families is perfect. I don't know a lot about them. I just know some of the things that they're saying, but the idea of it, the idea of saying no more right, no more left. This is about people trying to live, and there are two very distinct classes. There is everybody with the super rich money that controls all the companies, and there's all of us that work for them, and that's the only difference. And and we all experience the same things at different levels. Like I'm in a blessed position. I make quite a lot of money in comparison to poverty level, but I still have to worry about paycheck to paycheck. It's expensive. It's expensive to live. It's wild. I can't. It's like I have trouble understanding. Like there's things that I could do to change some of it. Yes, there's things that I could do to change some of it. But owning a house is still. I mean that's a huge undertaking, and I don't know how I'm going to get there.
You get a 50-year mortgage.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
I mean, it's insane. That
50-year mortgage. When I heard that, I was like, "You lost your mind." Did you hear about that?
No. Or I mean, I think yes, but I think I tuned it out.
When he who shall not be named heard that people are having trouble buying houses, he's like, "Well, they could get a 50-year mortgage." I was like, "You could eat my ass." Like, nah, I'm good. We're not doing a 50-year mortgage.
So we have to come together on what we can come together on, and we have to find the goodness again, and we have to fight the urge to blame someone. There are people to blame, but the idea of trying to blame the other, we don't need another. There already is an other. It's the 1%.
Yeah, that is the only other that matters.
That's the other. Those are the ones harming us, not each other.
If you think it's the 3 trans people playing high school sports, you're looking in the wrong direction.
It's all smoke and mirrors, and there's truth. There's truth to be found when we get together and when we talk about what really scares us and what really causes us anxiety. So I think to me that's the reading. is face your fear, face your anxiety, talk about it, really talk about it with love, not with hate.
Curiosity,
really talk about it, really, and try to find the common waters that you have, because we all have them. We all have them. We all experience them. We have a members only. It's patreon.com/DeanSageMedia. You can get longer episodes where we talk about how the reading affects us personally, what we are interested in, how we kind of took the reading and applied it to ourselves. You get to hear a little bit more about our lives, our work, and other things. We do have a YouTube. It's Show Your Deck on YouTube. Our books and our decks are available at showyourdeck.com. Jack's book is available through Jack. My books are available through Amazon and Kindle Unlimited. Our decks are available through a third-party distributor. Jack, where can we find you?
I'm at 49 Haiku. So on Instagram, that is the number 4, the number 9, HAIKU. On the intrawebs, that's 49haiku.com. I
am Dean Sage Media. Find me if you dare. We do have a show, Instagram. It's At Your Deck, and we will say goodbye.